With an extensive and illustrious military career that spanned decades, German Field Marshal Erwin Rommel, famously known as the Desert Fox, emerged as a towering figure during World War II. His resolute leadership and strategic brilliance left an indisputable mark on the battlefield. Yet amidst the aura of legend surrounding him, a lingering question persists. Does Rommel's celebrated status truly mirror the complexities of his accomplishments, or does it obscure the challenges and controversies that marked his path? Welcome to Pastworks. Erwin Rommel was born into an upper-middle-class family in the Kingdom of Württemberg in 1891. His father, Erwin Rommel Sr., served as lieutenant in the German artillery. At the tender age of 18, Rommel followed in his father's footsteps, enlisting in the military before undergoing training at an officer cadet school, graduating a mere 2 years before the outbreak of the First World War. Almost immediately thrust into combat, Rommel found himself facing French soldiers near Verdun in the summer of 1914, before the war descended into the terrors of trench warfare. Even in his early days as an officer, Rommel demonstrated a talent for maneuver warfare, utilizing aggressive tactics to break through enemy lines, a strategy he would continue to use throughout his extensive career. Fortunately, Rommel departed France, earning a promotion and a transfer to confront the Romanians in the east. There, he was assigned to a newly formed corps of mountaineers, where his skills would be put to the test on the eastern and Italian fronts. In the concluding 2 years of the war, Rommel and his unit engaged in extensive combat across the Italian front. During this period, Rommel garnered a reputation as a bold and audacious officer, although somewhat prone to insubordination. At the Battle of Caporetto in 1917, he embraced infiltration and mobility to the extreme, venturing deep beneath enemy lines against explicit orders. Although Rommel frequently defied orders, he faced little discipline for his disobedience, as the German military generally endorsed field officers displaying initiative. Rommel was not afraid to put himself in the line of fire, and the injuries he sustained during the war proved this to be true. He was wounded 3 times, in the thigh, left arm, and shoulder. Additionally, he continuously suffered from stomach ailments, fevers, and exhaustion throughout the war. By the conclusion of World War I, Rommel had once again been promoted and had the honor of receiving Germany's highest military decoration, the Pour le Mérite. Upon the armistice and the ending of hostilities in late 1918, Rommel found himself back in a Germany teetering on the brink of internal conflict. Various localized uprisings erupted, started by workers and soldiers aggrieved by the economic hardships caused by the war. Staying within the ranks of the army, Rommel frequently found himself tasked with quelling these uprisings, a task he accomplished with a blend of peaceful negotiation and diplomatic finesse. However, in 1934, the rise of the Nazi Party to power marked a pivotal moment for German politics and its military. It was during this time that Rommel first encountered Adolf Hitler. Impressed by Rommel's reputation, Hitler entrusted Rommel with progressively more important roles, culminating in Rommel's appointment to command Hitler's personal escort battalion. In his own way, Rommel appeared susceptible to the charisma that made the Nazi leader so renowned. Though Rommel himself never joined the Nazi Party nor embraced its ideals, it was known that he was impressed by the Führer. The precise feelings by Rommel toward Hitler and the Nazi Party remain a subject of ongoing debate among historians. However, a prevailing theory suggests that while Rommel displayed an aptitude for military matters, his grasp on politics was notably naive. Ultimately, it appears that Rommel genuinely diverged from Nazi ideology, yet his ascent undoubtedly owed much to his relationship with Adolf Hitler. At the dawn of the Second World War in 1939, Rommel assumed command of Hitler's personal regiment and joined the Führer on his inspections of the war in Poland, frequently venturing close to the front lines. It was during this period that Rommel developed a keen fascination with the emerging armoured tank divisions, which were being deployed en masse for the first time by the German army. Despite his impressive service record, the German army possessed only a limited number of tank divisions, and senior officers were typically prioritized for these coveted positions. However, with the backing of the Führer, Rommel secured command of the newly established 7th Panzer Division. Because of Rommel's strategy of swift advancement, the 7th Panzer Division earned the moniker Ghost Division, since the German High Command often lacked knowledge of Rommel's whereabouts or the movements of his panzer units. Although Rommel had primarily served with infantry units, his preference for highly mobile warfare, emphasizing swift movement, surprise tactics, and strategic positioning, resonated well with the mobility of Germany's armoured divisions. Embracing his new role with fervent enthusiasm, Rommel swiftly immersed himself in training and maneuvers in preparation for the 1940 invasion of France. The Battle of France culminated in resounding success, solidifying Rommel's rising reputation as a capable military commander. Rommel's accomplishments in France not only silenced his critics within the German High Command, but also provided a powerful narrative for German propaganda to exploit. In September of 1940, following Italy's declaration of war on the Allies, the Italian forces launched an invasion from their occupied territories in Libya, advancing into Egypt. What ensued was a staggering setback for the Italians, as their entire invading force suffered humiliation at the hands of British forces, either captured or obliterated. To sort out Italy's blunder, Rommel was dispatched to North Africa in early 1941 to lead the German Afrika Korps. Though technically under Italian command, Rommel swiftly assumed de facto leadership, seizing the initiative on the battlefield. He swiftly secured multiple victories against British defences across Cyrenaica and the coastal stronghold of Tobruk. While initially unable to capture Tobruk in 1941, his offensive in early 1942 culminated in the decisive Battle of Gazala, marking the defeat of the British forces and the successful capture of Tobruk, where he earned the title of Field Marshal from the Führer. Throughout this conflict, Rommel earned the nickname the Desert Fox, renowned for his cunning and tactical brilliance in the unforgiving terrain of North Africa. While Hitler did dispatch one of his favoured generals to this theatre of war, it was clear that his primary focus lay on the Eastern Front. Operation Barbarossa absorbed the bulk of Axis resources, leaving North Africa as a secondary priority. The majority of supplies, armour and manpower were diverted to the Eastern Front to confront the formidable challenge posed by the Soviet Union. Rommel seemingly struggled with depression throughout his career, and his diary and letters home often reveal a man plagued by self-doubt. As the African Corps' position in North Africa deteriorated in 1942, he wrote to his wife Lucy, "This means the end. You can imagine what kind of mood I'm in. The dead are lucky. It's all over for them." Unfortunately for Rommel, the problems in North Africa were only getting worse. Emerging chronic fuel supplies were becoming a major problem facing the Afrika Korps. Adding to the difficulties, Italian forces struggled to secure the Mediterranean, leaving Axis shipping vulnerable to constant threats from Allied aircraft and raids. Facing overwhelming Allied advantages in tanks, aircraft, and manpower, and pitted against the British military strategist Bernard Montgomery, the turning point arrived at the Second Battle of El Alamein, where Rommel suffered a decisive defeat at the hands of the British and their allies. As the situation in North Africa grew increasingly dire, Hitler made the decision to recall Rommel from Africa in 1943. In early 1944, Rommel was tasked with the responsibility of defending the French Channel coast against the looming threat of an Allied invasion. Throughout this period, he devised and executed numerous defensive preparations, notably introducing his own creation, known as Rommel's asparagus, alongside other various coastal fortifications. Simultaneously, he began harboring doubts about Germany's motives for continuing the war and questioned Hitler's aptitude for negotiating peace. During this time, a group of friends approached Rommel, suggesting that he should lead the nation in the event of Hitler's downfall. Rommel dismissed the notion, unaware at the time that these individuals were secretly plotting to assassinate the German leader. On June 6, 1944, known as D-Day, 156,000 Allied troops stormed the beaches of Normandy, eventually swelling to a force of 2 million invading soldiers. Witnessing the overwhelming Allied invasion and subsequent advance across France, Rommel recognized the inevitable defeat looming over Germany. He engaged in discussions with fellow officers about the possibility of surrender, acknowledging the grim reality facing the fatherland. During the Normandy invasion, Rommel sustained serious injuries on July 17th when British fighter-bombers attacked his staff car. He then returned to Germany to recover from his wounds. Following the failed assassination attempt against Hitler, known as the 20th of July plot, Rommel's association with the conspirators came to light, implicating him in the plot to oust Hitler. However, there is no credible evidence that Rommel had more than limited and superficial knowledge of the plot. As a result, he was given the ultimatum of taking his own life to protect his family and avoid the shame of a public trial. On October 14, 1944, German officers removed Rommel from his residence and transported him to an isolated area. There, he met his inevitable end by ingesting a cyanide capsule. Rommel was 52 years old. After his death, Nazi propaganda deceived the German public by reporting that Rommel had passed away due to the injuries he sustained in France. Field Marshal Erwin Rommel was honored with a state funeral, and Hitler decreed an official day of mourning to honor the general. By the end of the war, Rommel had attained a revered status not only within Germany, but also among the Allied nations. During the height of Rommel's success in North Africa, British Prime Minister Winston Churchill praised him before the House of Commons. "We have a very daring and skillful opponent against us, and may I say across the havoc of war, a great general." Allied generals such as Bernard Montgomery and George Patton also expressed their respect for Rommel. Rommel in turn admired Patton's accomplishments in mobile warfare and acknowledged that Montgomery never made a serious strategic mistake. This concludes our look into the life of Erwin Rommel. If you enjoyed learning about the desert fox and want to dive deeper into history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on our future content. See you in the next video.